calling the meeting to order February 7th at 5:08 p.m. And are we missing anybody?
Julie.
Everybody's here, it looks like.
Julie,
Chris?
No,
Julie
Julie.
and Chris.
Okay, so we're missing Julie and Chris. Everyone else is here. And then we want to open up public comment. I don't see anybody waiting. Is there?
I don't see anybody waiting either.
Okay. So no public comment. We need to adopt the minutes from last meeting. Has anybody had a chance to go over those? Are you good with it? You have,
Yeah,
Connie?
Whoever took the minutes, they did a really good job. And I make
Awesome,
a motion to
okay.
pass the minutes.
Okay, I second that.
Okay.
And then we need to discuss the e-newsletter effort.
You need to speak. Taylor, we've had a
Yes.
motion and a second. You need to say all those in favor of passing the minutes as written, say aye.
Sorry, Connie, you're frozen.
Oh, she was just saying we
Okay, we had a
need to do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
You're right.
all in
Okay.
favor.
All those in favor of the
Aye.
passing the minutes? Say aye.
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 Yep.
Aye.
Okay.
Any
There you go.
opposed? None opposed?
Sorry
Okay.
about that, guys.
That's
Okay.
all right.
As for the e-newsletter effort, have you received anything, Bennett, for that?
Yeah, I have everything. I got COVID and
Oh.
so I've been kind of down and I am starting to feel better. So I'll start working on that stuff probably within the next few days.
Me too,
Been
sister.
doing
How you
okay.
feeling?
You get-
Just tired now.
Same.
Yeah,
Exhaustion is
Taylor, you
real.
got-
right.
oh, heck. Wow.
Okay, so you feel like you have enough content though for a couple months, Bennett?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If I don't, I'll
So
start. Melanie sent me tons of stuff, so it's great.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Melanie.
Yeah.
I just drove around town and took pictures and said, oh, this is happening and this is happening and look at all this stuff going on.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, good.
Do we want to set like a content calendar or deadline each month? Do you want to do that, Bennett?
Why don't I go ahead and do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. Everybody okay with that?
Yep,
Cool.
perfect.
And then Hannah, do you have a grant update at all?
Yeah, I can do a little update real fast.
Okay.
So I sent some emails out to some local businesses about the letter of recommendations that and just to get to see who would be willing to write one for me and the grant. And I know Taylor, you're doing one, and I still have to reach out to. I think I'm going to go into Mossy Rock soon and talk to Marilyn and a couple other people. So if anybody has any ideas of other businesses who might want to write one, or if you're willing to write one, it's really just, what would you say it is, Taylor? It's basically just writing, we think this will do our town good, pretty much,
Yeah, here's how it can benefit other businesses.
Right. It's going to benefit my business and it's going to bring people and it's going to make it look prettier. And so if there's any ideas on, who will write one or who would like to write one, I think more the better. So that's going good. And then I meet with an architect tomorrow who's having drawings and plans being drawn up. Yep. Good. Okay. So that's cool. Along with some quotes. So that's a big part of the application. So that's huge. Getting that done. And then I'm gonna meet with Jordan, the owner of Spiral Gallery, on Friday, just to talk with him over our ideas and what we're doing, since we, share a wall. And then talk to him about some things about his roof, going over like our property line, just personal things. And if he's willing to write a letter of recommendation as well. Elena has been awesome. She's done a lot of the supplemental questions that I've provided answers for her. So overall, all in all, it's coming together. It's going along.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Hi, Julie.
Okay. Does anyone have questions for Hannah at all on that?
Yeah. Questions, comments, concerns?
So Jordan is the landlord for Spiral Gallery? Or I thought Jamie Berry was the owner of Spiral Gallery. I'm just confused about that. Are they renting from somebody named Jordan?
I don't know. I was just
I
giving
can-
us Jordan Winthrop. I was given. Was it
Let me
you?
double check that tomorrow. Let me double check that because, excuse me, Jordan owns the building, like the next side of Spiral Gallery, but I thought it was somebody else. I can't remember what his name was. They think it was somebody else who owns that, but I can get that. I can get that owner for sure for you tomorrow.
Oh, okay. That's good to know, because
Surprised he wouldn't have said something, but
the what?
I'm surprised he didn't just say something like we're not adjacent.
Oh,
So maybe, but I'll double check. Who knows? Ownership can change, and they
Oh,
don't
how
notify
funny.
me. So
Oh, I'm totally gonna text him then. I mean, I think it'll still want to meet up, but
okay.
because he was like, oh, I'm 5 minutes from downtown Estacada. So text me, and I have a new baby, so I might have to bring him, but let me, I can come down when I can. But that's funny that he said that, because I was like, oh, for some reason I thought you were more in like downtown Portland area, because I think Spiral Gallery, Jenny, you might know more. They're not local, the owners of Spiral
Spiral
Gallery.
Gallery, they very much are local.
Oh, they are. Oh, cool.
Jamie Berry. So Jamie Berry
Oh.
would be your contact person. She's a local artist, and she's from my understanding, the person who started Spiral Gallery and the owner of Spiral Gallery, but I don't know about ownership of the building. So that's
What I'll check on. I can confirm the ownership of the building, and then I'll get back to you.
That would be awesome, Melanie, because
Okay.
I do need to get in contact with them,
Okay.
just for some roofing issues.
Okay.
Julie has her hand raised.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Julie.
Yes.
Hi. Okay, so the Spiral Gallery, it is a co-op, so it is artist owned. I'm a member of the Spiral Gallery. And so it is a member owned, and the building is owned by the gentleman by the name of Tom. And no, not Tom. Oh my
I
goodness.
think it is.
Of course. It went totally blank. I'll get that to you and his information. But yes. I can't
Okay.
remember his name now. It's like on the tip of my
One
tongue.
of us will figure it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know. I want to say it's Tom, but I can't remember either.
No, it's
So-
it's not Tom though.
Okay. Well, welcome. to
Tom, or no,
Chris.
it's Tomas.
Tomas, that's right.
Tomas, yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
I'm going to bid you farewell and go on to my next meeting. And then when you wrap up and adjourn, if you just close the meeting, Taylor, the recording will just automatically spool to wherever it's supposed to go. And so I'm glad you guys are off to a good start. And sorry, I can't stay. So-
Bye, Melanie. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
so are there a lot of applicants for this Main Street grant, or not? Are you the only one, Hannah?
Yep, I was the only one who did a letter of interest back in December. And then by default, I was the only one who applied. So therefore, I'm the only one who was chosen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Taylor, that's
So
all I
any
got.
other questions for Hannah at all? Okay. Okay, so Jenny, passport project update and selecting the grand prize.
So I've been communicating with a handful of you about this. And I don't even remember exactly how that list came about or subcommittee or whatever, but it was been communicating with you guys. So some of you have all the information here about this, but basically, I think we're on point to get this going by spring break, which was the goal that we came away with in the last meeting. Getting all the information gathered by mid-February and then trying to get it printed and out there to the public by spring break. So we have, I was feeling a little disheartened by the participation because we were basically up to less than 20 participants for downtown. But Elena was really great at like sort of redirecting or shifting that narrative and was like, this is great for a start, like 20 participating businesses is awesome. So that kind of helped me to go, okay, maybe we're doing well, and we definitely have a good paper trail of reaching out to businesses. So I feel good about the fairness aspect of that everyone's been invited to participate. If they have not uploaded information or gotten back to us, that's on them, right? So we currently have about 20, I think. We did sort of a last minute reach out to people that we missed on the first round. Mostly it was like the food carts. And I think it sounds like most of them that we reached out to in that sort of second wind got back to us pretty quickly. So they're all involved. So it feels like we have the majority of main players of retail and restaurants in downtown, which feels like the most relevant as far as businesses go. So I think we're good on getting this going. And we had a quote from Marissa, which was Bennett's contact person. And I sort of last minute was like, oh my gosh, we need to have a second quote. Like, this is crazy. Like we should never go into something without another quote. So I reached out to a local person who does printing and got a second quote for us. And that's what I shared with everybody on that little subcommittee piece. They're very similar. The quotes are not far off from each other. But I think Marissa's might be a little bit more vague and Marvin's is a little bit more concrete as far as like the cost for design. Another piece that just came in a couple of days ago that I didn't include to you guys was that Marvin had suggested that we could actually reduce the price quite a bit by doing a spiral binding instead of the bound whatever. And that would reduce our cost because we could do a smaller quantity. We could do, instead of 500, we could start with like 200 and then add more as we need them. So I guess the next step might be to circle back to Marissa and say, here's a quote we were giving for a smaller quantity with a sort of slighter, less, quality binding. What's your bid on that? But we're looking at essentially, for 500 quantity, it would be like 1,500 to 1,900. And let's see. Sorry, why is this so confusing? Oh, that's for the, okay. So 1,500 to 1,900 is Marissa's quote. So again, kind of a range, whereas Marvin's was like 1,800. So kind of in the middle there on the higher end. And then for the design, Marissa's quote was a range of 800 to 1,200, and Marvin's quote was 629. So his design was less, his printing was higher, but again, he came back with a lower cost for printing if we did a spiral bind. So anyway, I don't know how much you guys all know about my position right now in this, but I have to resign from DEC. This is my last meeting I'm going to attend. I was trying to get you guys as far along with this passport as I could before bailing. But I am now the new executive director at the food bank. I took over for Deborah Buffton. So I have 2 roles now in town and I am overwhelmed. So I have to take this off my plate, and I apologize because I do think you guys are doing good work and I enjoy the group, but I just can't just have to like dial back. So, so I can send the specific details to the group as far as these quotes and where they stand. I can help a little bit with the next steps, getting it complete or choosing the printer. But really, I think we've, that's where we're at is just choosing a printer and sending it off to the printer and then distributing it to the public. So we have the 20 participants, we have their information uploaded. I think that Elena or Melanie or both of them have taken on the role of getting, any missing pieces as far as like poor quality logos or missing logos and trying to like get that information from businesses. And Bennett, did you submit your stuff? I know you didn't upload yours to the thing, but you emailed it or something.
Yeah, I said it.
Okay. Okay. So, so anyway, I think we're like at the final piece of this and getting it complete. So as far as the final prize goes, I don't know where we're at with that. You guys had kind of, as a committee, we had all sort of pre-approved a certain budget of up to, I think, $3,000 or something way back when. So we're well within that budget. And I don't know how you want to handle grand prizes, if you want to get a variety of gift cards like we talked about, whether you want to start with just 200 quantity or 500 quantity. So I guess I'm ready for some input on that.
So I think that
Personally, I guess I think it would be better. Oh, go ahead, Bennett.
I think that this is a project
You go ahead.
just to hand off to Elena. And because I think that it's at this stage of the game, Jenny's gotten it far enough along that really it's just hiring the designer, hiring the printer, and then whatever's left over goes into the prizes. So I understand that with the design and with the printing, we're under that 3,000 mark, but we're not very far underneath it. So there was some conversation about whether or not we were going to give a little something to everybody, or whether or not we were just going to have just the grand prizes. Or so that would be, I think, the only decision left for this group to do. And then if Elena has the horsepower, which I'm sure she does, to take on this project, then we just hand it over to her and get it across the finish line. What do you think?
Good.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I think starting off with 200 would probably be best,
Mhm.
especially with there's, I mean, 20
Yes, okay.
businesses is still rad. That's still a great amount. I mean, we're a small town, but so good job. It'll be fun.
And it's not overwhelming for the people that are participating, right? I mean, I don't know how many of us in this group have McMenamins passports, but it's like this really great idea and fun to play. And I don't know if I'll ever finish it because there's so many, right? So many locations. So I think that, keeping it small actually makes it more doable for people.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with what Bennett said. I think that'd be a great opportunity for Elena to get to know our community a little bit too, by dealing with merchants and.
The one last thing that
Good
I
suggestion.
wanted, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Okay, one last thing that I want to throw my 2 cents in on this is that I'm not sure from what you said, Jenny, whether or not you focused only on retail and whether or not you excluded some of the businesses in the downtown core. But the whole purpose of this was to familiarize people with what businesses are in the downtown core. And if we excluded some because we didn't think they were appropriate for this passport project, I would want to rethink that. Because I think that walking into somebody's front door and saying, hey, give me a stamp, gives a person an opportunity to, know that business is there. And then later on, say it was a contractor, somebody that builds houses. And we excluded them because we thought, you're not retail, so you're not appropriate for this project. But the contractor thinks he's appropriate because that gives him an opportunity to meet whomever it is that, the people that live in the area. So the exclusion that I would use is that there needs to be somebody there to give the stamp, and not that it's a specific kind of business, but that they have some kind of presence so that when somebody shows up, there's somebody there to give them a stamp. So you guys can completely disregard what I just said. I'm not, so big on this that it's going to hurt my feelings either way, but I just wanted to go ahead and say that.
No, I think that's super important. And I think that fairness and equity is a super important value of mine. And I feel really good about how thorough we were.
Okay.
Taylor and Matt and I did a lot of footwork on this in the fall. And we literally went off of the business list that was on that. I don't even remember what it was, but some downtown Estacada map thing. And so again, that sort of second round that we did were businesses that were additional since that was printed, that we realized, oh, they weren't approached because they weren't on that list. But we were thorough. I mean, we hit up gas stations, bait shop, all the little quick marts,
That's
the
good.
salons, I mean, we really, yeah, I don't know that we hit up the fire station or the car wash, because I think we quickly realized those were not necessarily going to work logistically because there's not always someone there.
Right.
But really, I feel like we were very thorough, and again, have a good paper trail of that they were approached and by who. So I think we're good. We're standing well on that front.
My comment comes from Matt saying something like, I don't think the liquor store is appropriate. And I disagreed with him on that. So
I even hit up the funeral home, and he was like, no.
good for you.
Rob puts the fun in Estacada. Promotes overnight stay in Estacada. Using his words.
The fun and funeral.
Was there
Okay.
ever any talk about with the passport bringing back there was like a packet that you would get when you moved to Estacada? Do they still do that? Does anybody know? Like the welcome to Estacada, new to Estacada, would give you like some background on businesses and the history of Estacada.
That was the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Yeah, and they don't do that
And,
anymore.
Maybe having it, put in with the passport, but I think right now just getting the passport out as its own is just probably what we're trying to do.
There's a chamber meeting tomorrow afternoon. I can bring that up if you want.
Yeah. Okay, so what I understand is we're gonna have Jenny pick the printer. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't know if that's appropriate, if it should be me making that decision or not. I'm fine with that. I guess the piece I would want to do in addition to what I've done is to just circle back to Marissa, specifically with the quote that Marvin gave me for the downscaled quantity and the downscaled printing quality, and give her the opportunity to bid on that. And then we just go with the best price, right?
Yeah,
I'm good
you
with
go
that.
with,
Are you
you
guys
go
good
with
with
best value. You go with best value. So whatever the best value is, I think you're doing the right thing with circling back to Marissa and asking her to rebid it so it's apples and apples. But I think that it would be fine to turn that decision over to the person who's going to execute the project, and that would be Elena.
Yeah, agree.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then the last piece of this is, what are we doing for a grand prize?
And do we want to give everyone a prize who completes it?
My understanding from what I was listening was it sounded like the grand prize is somewhat dependent on the price that we use to print. And as I think Bennett said, like what's left over. And until we know that, it seems like we're kind of in a bit of a conundrum to be able to say what the grand prize would be. We could still decide on whether or not we want to find things that everyone could have if we're going to do just little things for everyone. So I know that when I was on Parks and Rec, there was a real push towards like participation awards, you know, kind of a deal. Like, so someone who completes the passport gets a little trinket, versus it being a big grand prize. Or if there's some way of finding something that's small that doesn't cost a whole lot of money, projecting out like how many people do we think are actually going to complete the passport itself, right? Like if it's $1 a piece and we think 500 people are going to do it, then we're kind of predicting $500 worth of something. And at the same time, some of those trinkets only go down to that price if you're buying 200, 300, 500 of them. So, I mean, I would just want to keep that in mind versus like a single grand prize versus multiple ones. But I feel like I'm at a standstill on that vote because I don't know how much the printing is going to cost.
Okay. So then I suppose we can figure out this printing thing, have Jenny reach out, do that last thing with Marissa, pass it off to Elena, and maybe at the next meeting, we will have the figure we need to figure out exactly what prize we're gonna do.
I think
Okay.
that we're not gonna be over $1,200 on
For
printing and design.
printing,
And design, yeah. So that's my understanding based on if we were to go with Marvin's quote for $700 at 16 pages, and then I mean his printing cost for 500 bucks, sorry, was like $629. So I mean that puts us at $1,200, and that's for the 500 quantity. So I think we're gonna have less than half of this money spent on printing and design, even with some wiggle room there. So I think it's safe for us to kind of play around with the idea of $1,500 or more going towards grand prizes and prizes as incentive. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that or if you want to just put it on pause until we have a concrete number. But if we're going to wait till the next DEC meeting, which I'm not going to be at, to talk about prizes, then we're not necessarily going to be able to include the language of prizes in the marketing of this project, right? Like if we want to, when is our next DEC meeting? Is it, I guess it's before spring break. So maybe
it's March 7th.
Okay. So then it is before spring break. So if we're not going to launch it till spring break, then I guess you guys do have time to finalize the prize stuff at the next meeting and include that language in the marketing of this project. Does that make sense? So I think,
So it looks like Bennett has her.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea to go ahead and wait and find out how much money we have to spend, because it'll be really fast and easy to get grand prizes. But we had talked about having more than one grand prize, like, 3 of them. And so that might be a good idea to wait.
And my question was similar, but like when you look at the like McMiniman's passport as kind of an exemplar, in the inside of that, you kind of have a description of what you get when you finish it. And I was curious if that was going to be inside our passport as well. So if that's the case, if we feel like from March 7th, if we're launching it during spring break, there's time to make the decision and have it printed within, so that people who grab it kind of have an idea what they're working towards besides just getting to know businesses in the area, then yeah, I think we can wait. But if that seems like that wouldn't be the case, we might want to consider making at least an initial decision of like, there's going to be 3 grand prizes. We don't say what they are, but there's just 3 grand prizes, so that can be communicated into the printing process so that people have it when they grab their passports initially.
What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that it's important that we are specific, or as specific as possible in the printing. So people know what they're working towards and that there's a clear incentive there. So I guess that would be, I can send an email out to Marvin and to Marissa this evening, and I can get the wheels rolling as far as like confirming that if the grand prizes were confirmed by March 7th at the March 7th meeting, that they would have time to sort of finalize that last page or whatever. Maybe that's just one page, right? They can get everything else done. And then there's just this one piece of details that need to be added before it actually goes to the printer. Because I do think that's a really good point, that we need to have that in the actual passport itself. Like, what are you working towards? So
I agree with that. So
What,
should we narrow down, at least, are we gonna do 500 prizes for every single person that completes it? Or are we doing 3 grand prizes? What are we doing?
I like the idea of a little bit of incentive for everybody.
Mhm.
I mean, if we have, we don't need to have 3 $500 prizes, right? I mean, they could be 3 $200 prizes. That's a pretty good incentive. And then the rest of the money goes towards something for everybody who completes it,
Mhm.
and, I don't know what that trinket would look like or what that incentive would be, but, something to make it worthwhile for them. Maybe it's $10 gift cards, maybe we have $10 gift cards to various restaurants or places in town. And then we have like 3 $200 gift cards. I don't know.
Could it be
That's-
something,
That sounds
putting
good.
it, putting it back on like some of the, let's say I went and I did all of it. I got it done within the time, my name goes in. But there's the gift card component, like you completed it, here's a $10 gift card. Your name is still in for a grand prize. Is that kind of what I'm hearing you say, Jenny, for like the idea that you were just describing?
Yeah, I guess that would make sense. And then I'm also realizing that like my math is way off. So like we wouldn't have enough money to give everyone who completes it $10 gift cards. So maybe there's a limited number of those. And so that's an incentive to like be one of the first 100 people to finish it, or whatever. I don't know. But yes, it makes sense to me that incentive would not, like, you get something for finishing it, but then you're in the draw for the grand prize, because I think the grand prize is not going to happen until the deadline, right? The deadline was going to be the harvest market.
Yep.
So they have that whole time frame to finish it. But if you're one of the first 20 people to finish it, you get this thing. And then everybody who finishes it by the deadline's in the drawing for the grand prize.
I like that, where like
It's a
it's,
good-
if you do $5 gift certificate options for the first 50, that gets $250 of the budget. And then you could still do like a 200 or like 200s or a 300, a 200 and a 100 kind of grand prizes. But the people who turn it in first get these additional components, right? Like, so there's an incentive to watch that due date, but also get out there and start doing it. Don't wait around. And so that also gives us, from businesses, even before the harvest market, a chance to really see like, how is this being utilized, and getting feedback up into that point, to see if we wanted to push out anything else within the time frame to be, hey, we're doing this, or is a lot of people coming to City Hall and grabbing them, and so on. So I think I like that. I mean, if I were thinking about it as just a citizen of Estacada, like the fact that I could go and do it and get $5, take my kids to some like Yo Treats, or go get a nice beverage someplace, or a pastry someplace, like, sure, that sounds great, right? It'd just be a matter of which businesses do we highlight for that, and that seems like a hard decision. Whereas like if I go with Yo Treats, like now we're highlighting them amongst the other 20. So I don't know, maybe it's a matter of the people decide. Is there a way of doing that for any business? Because like Ant Farm's in there and I don't know what $5 would go to for us.
Yeah, so that's a whole nother element of this, right? Is like, how do you guys choose where these gift cards come from? How do you, make that equitable? The $5 ones could be distributed pretty fairly, I suppose, but the grand ones that, I like the idea of a 100, 200, 300. But like, how do you make that decision? Is there a way for you guys to just sort of randomly draw from the participating businesses? And, so just something for you guys to figure out, I guess.
Could we allow the people
Put
to
your name in
choose?
the hat.
Like if you win, you say, which business in town would you like your gift card to? That way it's not us choosing, because I don't know if there's a fair way to do that.
I think that's great.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You could create just a common token, like Mike's Diner in like Milwaukee and in Oregon City, they have like a little like ice cream token. We could create like a token, and business just knows like if they bring in this token from the passport, that $5 is on the city, right? And then they can spend it anywhere they want. And if I'm going into Julie Cooper's to get some earrings and I push my token into her face, she knows that $5 is going to be, given to the city as that. And that might be an easier generic way of doing it where everyone just recognizes that. And then it's the people choose where it's done. I don't know if that makes kind of a cluster for the city to dish out the receipts, but that'd be an easy way not to have to like say we're highlighting one business over another, because in some ways they could even, and again, we might say that you can only use this token with one of the 20 that are in the passport. You can't use it for any place in Estacada. Only the passported businesses will take this. So I don't know. Thoughts on that?
Good idea. Yep.
I think that the
Good
token
idea.
idea is great for maybe for the grand prizes and maybe not for the $5 ones. I think that we could make the $5 ones come from enough businesses that it would feel fair, but it's a lot on a business to like have to invoice the city for a whole bunch of $5 tokens. It's not as much for a business to have to invoice the city for $100 or $200 or $300.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jenny. The thought of the tokens for me kind of stresses me out. And I think it would be even more so for a food business, because I think that's where that's going to come from.
So with 50-ish $5 coupons, we could do 5 sets of them, 5 from different places, and that gives 10 different stores out of the 20. Because I know, like I said, Ant Farm's not gonna, $5 for us, I don't know what that would even be worth. But like other places, I could see them jumping on that for their business compared to others. So it might be another, so like we're gonna do that and then just push it out to our 20 that are on the list and say, of you who feels this is worthwhile, and then maybe even just say the first 10 who respond, those are the ones we're going with.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get the printing information. Once we have that, we will figure out which businesses are going to be the ones that we utilize for the gift cards. And then the last 3, the 100, 200, 300 gift cards will allow the person who wins to choose. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay. So Jenny, once you've got everything figured out with printers, I guess you turn that over to Elena and we'll carry on. Okay. So let's move on to the next next item, which I think is for you,
Taylor,
Connie.
can I ask a question real fast?
Yes, please.
So if we come up with any ideas, who should we email? Should we email Elena? Because Jenny, I don't want to overwhelm you, obviously, because I know you're leaving. Would Elena be better? Or because I feel like I could probably sit down and think, maybe think of some things that might be good ideas, but not just right on the spot right now.
Yes, I think Elena would be the person to contact.
Okay.
I think she
Awesome.
even has experience working on passports.
Yeah, I think that's what
So,
she said.
Yeah, so I think she's gonna be great.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, Connie, do we have any update to the college marketing research program?
Yep.
Project?
Yep.
Okay.
Elena and I are having a Zoom meeting on Thursday at 11 with, I think his name's Marshall, with Marketing Research Institute down at Southern Oregon University. We're going to just talk about some basics about what we're looking for. And from what I recall, we want to find out what our community wants as far as businesses, events. What do they want to see happening in Estacada as far as, those areas. These people have done this before, so we're going to kind of just let them kind of tell us what they think. My biggest question is there going to be a cost for it? And I don't know. So we'll find out, but it will be something that will be done during the spring term. And yeah, so after we have the call on Thursday, we'll know more.
Okay. Okay. Well, then I guess we will kind of table that till next meeting when we have a little more information.
And what school is this through? Or is it a committee?
Southern Oregon University, their Marketing Research Institute.
Got it. Nice.
Okay. We lost Bennett here. I don't see her on the call. Did she come back? So
She
Bennett's
said
really
she
the one
wouldn't
that
be able
we
to stay
need.
for the whole thing.
Oh, she did. So for the newspaper column and newsletter, that's kind of Elena and Bennett. So there's not really much that I can talk to on that. Can anybody else? No. Okay.
Not
Then
really.
I think we'll just, I think we'll table that until we have Bennett back on the meeting because she's the one that's doing all the newspaper stuff.
I know she for the newsletter basically just changes and construction and just stuff happening in our city is what they're really trying to go for.
Yeah,
so
and
we emailed some ideas a couple of weeks ago, and both Elena and I think Bennett, they were like, yeah, good ideas, but not really what the newsletter is for, and more so upcoming construction and all that stuff. So which there's a lot going on.
yeah.
I think Melanie, like she said, drove around and got a lot of ideas. So I think they're good.
Okay, perfect. Project assignments, tentative start dates, and leads. I think that's Connie.
Yeah, I'm kind of just filtering information through my brain lately about what's going to be going on as far as 4th of July parade and Uncorked. I've got some people in the community. I want to see if Rob will take on the music part of Uncorked. And Courtney O'Byrne has dealt with vendors for several events, so I'm going to tap into her. She's willing to help out. I'm looking more at March to really start diving into stuff. I would definitely
Okay.
want to have a couple of you folks walk down 3rd Street with me and kind of help me get a visual as to how we could have stuff laid out. Because we've never done anything on 3rd before, so this will be new. And then also, if we want to go over into the Harvest Market Square, I need to get with them pretty soon, March, and find out if that's okay with them. So March, we'll hit it pretty good.
Okay, so again, not really much to do as of right now.
Right. I have reached out to OLCC to get that ball started, because that's one area I never dealt with. OLCC, that was, Nancy did all that, so.
Okay.
But I've got good notes from her on, and they do assign one person to work with you, which is good. So, yep. And thank you, Hannah, for your
Okay.
suggestions. If anything pops into your head like a theme for the parade, shoot her off to me.
Okay. The fiscal year budget. I don't know much about this, as this is my first year really on the DEC. Connie, I feel like you're gonna be like our our best bet here. Can you help with that at all?
Yeah. Well, looking at the budget, it looks pretty, we're gonna scale back on Cork to the Harvest Festival. I'm not sure if our expenses are gonna be what they say, but I guess, we're good to err on the side of maybe having a little bit too much. I'm not sure what, the fall event. I think we should stay with what we have until we go through this year and find out what we're going to be doing different. And that 40,000 I think is pretty reasonable.
Okay.
It's just so much we don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess I would stick with the 40. And hopefully we'll come
Is that
in with
something?
more income. And
Is that something we need to vote on, Connie?
I don't believe so. What we've done, we've just kind of taken each event as it was and, tried to stay within the limit that we had. So well, we might have to. I don't know. I know for the library, we have to approve our budget there, but that's a heck of a lot bigger budget. So I guess that's a question I can ask Elena. But I don't think we have to approve this budget because, well, I don't know why. I just don't remember in the past having to approve our budget. I'll find out.
Okay, so I don't think it has to be finalized today necessarily anyways. I think they just wanted us to start the discussion on it. So I will get in touch with Elena and see if we do need to vote on that. And if we do, we can do that at the next meeting.
Okay.
And then that kind of concludes our meeting. We just have a public comment. I don't see anybody in a waiting room or anything. And then, yes, Connie?
I just wanted to thank Jenny for all the work that she's done. Jenny, I just love the fact that you think outside the box, and that's so refreshing to me to have you and Hannah and Chris and Julie and Taylor, the ones that haven't been around forever, and say we always did it that way. So thank you for that. I know you'll do a fabulous job at the food bank, and thank you for just being here.
Thank
I
you,
wanted
Connie.
I wanted to do the same, Jenny. Super appreciative of all the work you've done. I think the food bank is like the perfect spot for you. You're all about feeding people and I love it. I just think it's great. I couldn't be happier for you and I wish you the best and just thank you so much for everything that you did.
Thank you. You guys are so awesome. This is like so cool. I don't even know if you realize how awesome of a shift this is for our community, but my understanding is that this committee has been, not to be critical, but it's been the same people for a long time. And I think a lot of the committee were people who weren't active business owners anymore. And, Matt kind of like pulled me in really intentionally. And I think he did a lot of work. He pulled me in a long time ago and then started like reaching out to all of you guys and really very intentionally wanted the culture of this committee to shift and become more relevant to new business owners. And, and I think that it was successful and that this is like a powerhouse of young progressive thinkers and people who are active in our community. And I just think that, things can become stagnant really easily. And that's not the case with this committee. And so I'm excited for our community that you guys are all on this commission. And I think it's going to be awesome. So thank you for all the work that you do.
And Taylor, that's something that we do need to talk about at the next meeting, is filling that vacancy.
Yes,
And,
we
I
do.
would like to see if we can get somebody from the Hispanic community involved. I don't
I
know.
think that's a
if
great
it's,
idea.
You know, we have a couple businesses that are owned by Hispanics, and I'd really love to see them get involved. I'd love to have us have a Cinco de Mayo sometime. You
Oh,
know,
that'd
in
be awesome.
Estacada, downtown.
Okay.
But yeah, we do
Uh,
need to not wait too long.
Yeah, I think Elena has to post it
So
from the city, and maybe we can reach out to a few people and see if they'd be interested in joining.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Okay, any other commissioner comments at all? No?
Great job, Taylor.
Okay. Thanks. All right, well, I will adjourn the meeting at 5:59. I hope you guys have a
Good
great
job,
night.
everybody.
Night, y'all.
Thanks.
Yeah, good night.
Bye.
Take care,
Thank
Jen.
you.
See you soon.
Okay, everyone.